Hey y'all, this is Axel at Cards, Tickets, Tunes, back to share with you the latest round of ticket sales on eBay. Again, these are actual ticket sales. I'm not just projecting or guessing what these tickets are worth. These are market value prices. So I think that's a real value add if you want to tune in and listen to my weekly postings, share with other people. Tickets are an emerging collectible, so hoping to get on the ground level here with some of this stuff. Got some exciting ones to share this week. I'm going to do things a little different than I have in the past. I'm going to start off with my best sales first. Should always lead with your best in life, right? So maybe hook people in a little bit more to listen, and then the prices will go down, but they won't necessarily be less interesting. I promise you that. So I have a video that I'm going to post pretty soon here of an unboxing. I sent about 35, 40 tickets off to PSA, and they came back and listed those about a week and a half ago, and they've been selling. So that's pretty exciting. I shared one last week, a Pujols ticket that first postseason home run went for $600. I think I said $500 on the show, but I actually made an extra $100 on that. So that was exciting. And the great thing with tickets is you oftentimes don't have very much into these. Bought that one in a lot. I think I paid $75 for the lot, and there were probably 75 tickets in there. So not all of them are worth $600, but if you do the average, that's like $1, and then sell it for $600. That's the kind of markup you're looking at in ticket collecting if you do your research and have some knowledge. And anyone can get into it. All right, another ticket like that. This one was a part of a lot as well. Sent this one in to be graded because it was a beautiful example of a full ticket. The lighting here is not great, so I'm going to put it in an angle. That's a 1988 Notre Dame USC ticket. It was, at the time, a number 1 versus a number 2, which is pretty exciting. And it's also a full. You can see, well, technically, I guess it's not a full because the stub there is torn on the very bottom, but it presents as a full. And it's in beautiful condition. Scored well, it is a full. It's an EX5. So there aren't very many of those available in the wild, as we say. So when you get one, you want to send it in and get it graded, get a score, and then people, validate that actually happened. They were national champions, and that one sold for $400. Again, bought that in a lot. Do the average, probably paid a couple bucks for it. So good markup there. Pretty excited to share that one. All right. Of course, Notre Dame collectors are crazy, so that's another thing you got to know with the angles. USC as well. Number 1, number 2 mentioned that. So it's all about the angles in tickets, like I've mentioned in the past. Here's another one. Angle ticket. Bought this one in a lot of Kentucky tickets. This happens to be a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander debut ticket. Has a really nice picture of Anthony Davis on the front there. Excellent condition. This actually scored a 5. I'm still figuring out how they grade tickets and what the difference between a 5 and a 9 is, but really wanted to get that one slabbed. And Shea is first, all NBA first team, potentially at the end of this year. Could be MVP, could win a national championship. So that's an investment. Someone kind of pulled the trigger on that one and thought that would probably go up in value, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Kentucky people are another group of people who are very, very avid, very, very intense about their collecting and their fanship. So you always want to focus on people like that. Another area that has a lot of collectors is Mickey Mantle. So here is a Mickey Mantle home run ticket. You can see there's no date on there. That's just one reason why I wanted to get it sent in, so people could know that it was an actual home run ticket. These tickets can be dated by the color of the logo, the tax that was paid, the price of the ticket, whether it's a grandstand ticket or a bleacher ticket, the number of the game, the design. There's a really great website called Keyman.com or Keyman Collectibles. A guy has really gone through every example of a Yankees ticket that exists, and he's really created a system that you can use to figure out if it has a date, if it has a number on it, and if it has the tax and all this stuff. You can also check the back, and there are key things on the back that will let you know about the date, about who printed it, where the logo is, if it's centered, if it's, the size of the font, all that stuff. But when you get something like this that is potentially Mickey Mantle, then you want to send that in and get that graded. That one sold for $300. So $600 for the Pujols, $400 for the USC Notre Dame. That's $1,000. 300 or 400, 300 for the Shea Gilgeous, and then 300 for the Mantle ticket. So that's 1,600 on 4 tickets. So you got to pay 30 to 50 a ticket to get them graded, but it's definitely worth it if you need to verify something big like that. So that's pretty exciting. We're going to keep going on down with ungraded tickets. This is a Pistons ticket during the Bad Boys era. It's the first game of the season in 89, sorry. This would have been their second year. They won the championship that year, which makes it valuable. Also did a little research on newspapers.com and found out that they handed out their championship rings. And as you know, in the NBA, it's all about rings and things, as they say. And there was a great ceremony, and there's a good write-up in the Detroit Free Press about it. So I made a copy of that and made a clipping and shared it as a picture on the auction so people could know that's actually what happened. And that drove the price up. So this one sold for $150. Probably if I hadn't done that and just said, game 1 or something like that and put Isaiah Thomas in the title, maybe I'd have gotten $50. But you can really drive the price of tickets with creativity and with angles, like I've mentioned. Also has a nice advertisement for a very popular radio FM station in Detroit that I listened to growing up, as I've mentioned in the past. All right, moving on down. This ticket here sold for $75. It's a beautiful ticket from 1948 during the pennant race. It was Yankees versus Red Sox. It was Joe DiMaggio versus Ted Williams. Unfortunately, there were no home runs or no milestones or anything in the game. It wasn't the very last game of the season where the Yankees overtook the Red Sox or vice versa, which would have made it even more valuable. It was one of the very last seasons. I think it was the last series of the season. So that was kind of the angle that I took. And of course, you can't go wrong with DiMaggio versus Ted Williams either. So that one sold for $75. No need to go to Keyman Collectibles on that one. There's a little writing on the back, but little pencil. Someone could erase that, or you could leave it on there, because actually, for me, it adds a little bit of, historicity to the ticket to see that on the ticket. All right, we're going to drop down to something a little less expensive, but still super cool. Love these old Madison Square Garden tickets. Great 90s design. This was the series where Reggie Miller scored all of those points in the last, 15 seconds. I think it was game 5 of that series. It went to 7 games. There's the famous incident between Spike Lee and Reggie Miller. So it wasn't that game. That ticket's worth several $100, $500, $1,000, depending upon condition and grading and everything, like we've talked about. But just a ticket from that series is pretty cool. Someone might get this signed by Spike Lee or by Reggie Miller, and then that bumps up the value quite a bit. So this one sold for $40. All right. Another ticket here. This one actually sold for $45, so I didn't put them in the exact price order, but pretty close. This is a ticket from the season where O.J. Simpson set the record for rushing yards, went over 2,000 yards. This is a Colts ticket. As you can see, there's no date on it, so I had to get on Football Reference and look at possible Game 5s between the Bills and the Colts, and then just use process of elimination. And you can also look at sold items and other examples on eBay, or if you have a subscription to PSA, you can type in the team names and try dates, and you can see examples of things that have been submitted. That's another way to do it. Also, I think I've mentioned this in the past. You don't just have to check sold items. You can use something called TerraPeek, which is a tool available. I'm not sure it's available to everyone or just people who have a store, but it's a great tool, and it will give you sold items from the last 2 years. Doesn't always have the picture. Sometimes the picture goes away, but that's a great tool. Here's another $40 ticket. Of course, the 49ers were in the Super Bowl. They just lost last night. I happen to live in Missouri, so I was kind of excited to see that, but was kind of rooting for Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Of course, you want to list tickets to coincide with the seasons of the year. People will buy tickets any time of year for any sport, but they tend to be a little bit hotter during football season, football tickets that is, and teams that are in the Super Bowl are a little hotter. than other teams as they progress through the playoffs. This is a nice full ticket. Nothing super happened in that game. It's just a great design and a super cool vintage ticket. Went for $40. I think I put there was a Freddie Solomon TD. I mean, there was really like nothing in this game that stood out, unfortunately, but it's a great looking ticket. All right, here is a basketball ticket from 1990-91 season. It's a Pacers versus Reggie Miller versus Larry Bird, Pacers versus Celtics. And it's kind of the angle here is that it's Bird in Indiana. Of course, he played at Indiana State, but when he goes back to his home state, that's kind of a cool angle. You'll find people that collect that kind of thing. He didn't have a triple-double, which is what you want to look for with Bird. There weren't any last-minute heroics or anything like that. But any Bird ticket, if he played against someone like Reggie Miller or of course Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson, those are much more valuable. But any Bird ticket's going to go for $20 to $50. I mean, that's the way it is with Larry Bird. So this one was not too difficult to date. Just had to find examples of it. The design really stands out, kind of unique. But obviously there's no date, so you got to do a little research. All right, down into the $20 range. Here is a USFL ticket. Houston Gamblers versus, I think, the Chicago Blitz. Had Jim Kelly in it. Threw 3 touchdowns, I think. USFL stats are a little harder to dig up, but you can find them if you look around on the internet. You can type in the date in newspapers.com and get a full write-up of the game. But not as rookie season and not NFL, so USFL tickets are not as collectible, depending upon what happened in the game. Of course, you can kind of take the Donald Trump angle with the New Jersey Generals, which is helpful, but there are a lot of great Hall of Fame players who started off in the USFL, so do your research with Jim Kelly and Reggie White and Doug Flutie and a lot of Hall of Fame players. All right. Here's a Kobe ticket. And he had a triple-double in this game. So that was the way I angled that one. $20. It's got a nice Kings logo there. Get it in focus. These Ticketmaster tickets aren't as desirable, obviously, as the season tickets. But if they're sharp and the ink is good and there's no fading, then they actually look pretty good. So pay attention to that kind of thing if you're doing ticket stubs. For a while, I don't think PSA was grading Ticketmasters. Maybe it's because it was easier to, fake it, but they are now. So you can send them in to be graded. Kobe Bryant triple-double, $20. Here's another $20 ticket from the 1974 season. It's Bucks. Who was it? Bucks and Rockets. It is the first game of the season. You can see game 1, which in this case was actually the first game of the season. It wasn't like the first game of the preseason. No significant debuts, but you never know with these things. Things come out all the time about someone was at the game or something infamous happened during the game. Like I mentioned with the Pistons ticket, the rings were awarded. So if you look on newspapers.com, it's generally worth your time for certain types of tickets to spend a little time digging around and doing some reading. It's fun anyways if you like that kind of thing. So that one sold for $20. It's got a little damage on the back. I think Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was still on the Bucks at that time as well. There's a Mets ticket sold for $15. Barry Bonds home run. Bobby Bonds, who was Barry Bonds' father. I think he may have had a stolen base as well. So he was one of those original 40-40 guys, 30-30 guys, power and speed. And I always like to try to take that angle when I have a Bobby Bonds ticket. Beautiful Shea Stadium stuff. Those Mets tickets, like I've mentioned in the past, they all have the same kind of design for about 25 years, which is nice if you're putting together something and you want it to have some uniformity. Mr. Met on there. Here is a ticket during the Yankees dynasty of the 70s. This is not the most desirable form of a Mets ticket. It's on kind of thin paper. It doesn't have that same cardstock feel, and so these aren't as valuable. But it's still dated. It still had Thurman Munson in the game, and he got a couple hits. Looks like it was against the Orioles. I don't think Jim Palmer pitched or anything, but probably Brooks Robinson played in the game. Nothing fancy here, just a good, cool ticket from the 70s, went for $12.50. Another one here, just a nice, cool 80s design, Giants versus Cubs. Ryan Sandberg had a home run. I think Rick Sutcliffe pitched a shutout. So there are people out there that collect every Rick Sutcliffe win. And I think he was an announcer for a long time on NBC or something, would do playoffs and World Series and things like that. So he's a celebrity. Someone's going to buy that and say, hey, Rick, would you mind signing it, right across here? And they'll make it a part of some big display. Or maybe Rick Sutcliffe is their uncle or their grandpa or something like that. Like I said, I don't generally take less than $10 a ticket unless it's been sitting there for a long time, or if someone buys them in bundles. That one went for $10. Someone wrote the score on the back there. Again, we've talked about that. $10 ticket, it's not going to matter. If you're going to send it in to be graded and it comes back with mark on it, then yeah, that could be an issue. Another great example of a cool 80s ticket, Angels and Angels and Yankees. This would have been 82, so I think Reggie Jackson was on the team at that time. So that's, I actually hadn't thought about this. Maybe that's Reggie's first game against New York after he had been traded. Should have thought about that before I sold it. Probably could have squeezed a little more money out of it, but it's got the team logos on it. It's got the date. It's got everything you want in a cool vintage ticket. That one went for, I think, $9 I took for that one. And then lastly, we have this ticket from Yankees versus Orioles. Don Mattingly played in the game. Cal Ripken, streak ticket. Dave Winfield hit a home run. Nothing fancy, but a good ticket. Does have a crease, so I took a little less for that one. I think I took $7, $7.50, something like that for that ticket. So that's it for tickets this week. Did pretty well, pushing close to $2,000 over a 7 to 10 day period. Appreciate you guys listening. Hope word's getting out there. This is my 6th video. Again, look for the video I'm gonna upload here in a little bit of me and a couple guys unboxing the PSA tickets. If you're interested in any of those tickets, you can contact me. Check out cards_tickets_tunes on eBay to see what's available in my store. You can contact me at cards.tickets.tunes@gmail.com if you have tickets for sale. I'm always interested in that. Again, I appreciate you guys listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.